Hey, great to be here. Can you all hear me okay? Anyone at the back? Okay. So really great to be here. Thanks for coming. My name is Halfteck. I'm founder and CEO of NAC, a startup based here in Palo Alto, not far away from here. We started about 2.5 years ago, and what I want to cover today is show you some of the premise, some of the insights that got us started, and our product, both the enterprise business product as well as the consumer-facing app, where you can see some of the screens of our upcoming app. It's going to be available on Android and iOS in a few weeks. So let me get started and run through some of those slides. So basically, what got us started was the idea that there is talent everywhere, but we cannot find. And people and companies or educators don't know actually what to look for and where to find those people. And that was very frustrating to many people, including myself, when I applied for a job and didn't get that job, and I believe that I should be able to get it. So the problem is that diamonds are rare, but diamonds in the rough are everywhere. And then how do we find those people? And how do we bring them to the surface? We don't have any idea. If you speak to HR executives, talent professionals, we don't really know what's the shape of that diamond that we're looking for, and the tools that we're using are pretty bad. Still using tools like Myers-Briggs, interviews are rampant, and what ends up happening is that we have a picture like this, which is really bad and hasn't changed for many years. So we started the company in order to change this space, to make difference, to affect people's lives, but to also affect companies, and to give people opportunity, but also help companies figure out who's the right person for the right job. So our goal is to really change that and help people achieve their goals and figure out where is the right opportunity, what's the right education, what's the right career for me, rather than fly in the dark and make decisions without any information. And likewise, the mirror image of that is help companies figure out who's the right person, who's the right leader, who's going to be the next innovator, where are those people, how do we develop them, how do we really get the most value for our company. So when you think about millennials, they all love job offers, they like getting attention, and everyone believes that they have something going on for them, they have some gifts, some talents, but they don't know how to figure this out. The mobile app that I showed you actually is going to move them in the direction of figuring out what's my knack, how can I discover it, how can I get discovered by companies, by schools, by all sorts of opportunities. So the idea behind NAC is that we use games, but we don't stop with games. Underneath the games, there is robust state-of-the-art behavioral neuroscience. So basically, we're using behavioral neuroscience underneath the games. The science is not transparent. The game looks like a game, feels like a game. I don't know if any of you played our game. We have Balloon Brigade both on Android and iOS, and we have more games in the pipeline coming out on mobile. But the initial starting point is the games, engaging experience that puts a person in the state of flow that really helps reveal and tap into the real behaviors of that person. So think about the game as a stream of micro behaviors, micro decisions, micro problem solving situations. We tease out that data and those behaviors because we combine insights from behavioral neuroscience, and we have a whole team of scientists in our company. The result of combining games with the science and a data infrastructure that works under the surface is a very robust data stream that is behavioral data in nature. So we collect all that data, and then we start mining that data. So we started looking at our innovation as something that we started calling playable computing. And why playable computing? It's not just for a fancy title, but if you think about this device and putting it in the pocket of every person, and this can now capture our behavior and learn about us and get to know us in a very good way and help us broadcast that, signal to the world, what is my talent, what's my unique gift, where can I be successful? So rather than putting a resume on, or rather than just saying or telling stories on LinkedIn and changing those stories depending on what opportunity I'm looking for, this is something that is a real signal. It's a real innate idea about the person, and it can help in tremendous ways. So we think that this is a game-changing technology that can help people and help companies in ways that I will show you. So there is the engagement and the fun, which is very important because we like doing things that are fun. One of the executives, top executives from Electronic Arts told me recently, when I was a kid, I didn't want to eat vegetables. I wanted to eat pizza, right? So we all like pizzas, right? We don't like the vegetables with broccoli. Maybe some of us do like broccolis, and that's okay. But for most of us, we like doing the fun stuff. So we like playing games. We don't like taking tests. We like doing something fun, not taking a GMAT or an SAT or any of those other things. And turns out that our games can predict, can measure those type of outcomes in a superior way compared to any of those traditional instruments that are available in the market and have been available for many, many years. So we get it on mobile, we put it in the hands of every person. We do away with language barriers, so there are no gender barriers. There is no issue with women being stereotyped and thinking that they cannot do well compared to men in a math test, which has been validated and demonstrated repeatedly with different instruments. Gender goes away, language barrier go away, cultural differences go away. So if you're a global company, and all of our customers today are Fortune 500 companies that run global operations in 90 countries or more. When you look at such an operation and you say, how can I spot talent in a systemic, objective way? Well, once you introduce language and verbal components, you get into lots of trouble. But once you put a game in front of a person, whether it's an employee or a candidate, you get a very different picture. So you level and even the playing field. And the last thing is really the micro-behavioral big data stream that we collect across our games, and that gives us tremendous insight. So moving on, here is Wasabi Waiter. Wasabi Waiter was our first game, and it's a very successful game. It's a 10 minutes long game. And you might ask, well, how can we use a 10-minute game to measure and predict all sorts of things, and predict, for example, who is going to be a high-performing surgeon at a large medical institution in the New York metro area? Or who will be the best innovator at Shell, the big oil company? We used this game. So people at Shell and candidates played the sushi chef in Wasabi Waiter. Surgeons at NYU played Wasabi Waiter. Management consultants at Bain & Company played this game. The reason is that we designed this game, even though it looks very simple on the surface and very fun and engaging, and you have seen some games like that, there is a fundamental difference. The difference is in the science and in the data infrastructure that works under the surface. So, very fun game. It will be available publicly for everyone to play as soon as we launch our NAC app in a few weeks. Moving on, basically our big data analytic approach is collecting the data from the games, so whatever games the candidate or the employee plays or the person, reducing it to factors, extracting patterns, and applying machine learning algorithms to understand what are the patterns that characterize certain people compared to others. High-performing surgeons versus others. High-performing, high-potential innovators or teacher versus others. So we really mine the data from the game, and the premise for that, which is really the insight we started was we are who we play. As we play, we're doing something that leaves those breadcrumbs that are unique and intrinsic to how we behave, and those breadcrumbs can predict how we will behave in the real world outside the context of the game. As we started building the technology and the games, and we started testing the games and collecting massive amounts of data, we saw actually that insight that we had was actually very accurate. So the way we do something, and that's the key takeaway, I think, for all of us, the way we do something is the way we do everything. So the way we behave in a game is also indicative of the way we will behave in other contexts outside of a game. Obviously, there is a long, sophisticated, and very complex data analytic approach that gets us from the game play, from the behavior in the game, to predict those outside behaviors. But we've been able to achieve that, and we're very excited about it. The next thing is, from your gameplay, we can compute multiple NACs. In our language, in our world, NACs, which is a new word that we turned a NAC into a noun, basically, we can compute multiple attributes, multiple human dimensions about creativity, risk-taking, cognitive abilities, emotional and social intelligence, different personality traits, and you can play the games and get that feedback, those results, so you know what's your knack, and then you know how your knack pattern translates and relates to real opportunities, education, career, or other opportunities. But then companies can also see what is the knack distribution of employees, what are the knacks that are characteristics of high performers, of leaders, of innovators, or whatever it is. What are the knacks that actually are highly correlated with our corporate organizational culture? if you think about it today, and if any of you are working in the talent space, I don't know what's the distribution of the audience here, but I'd love to hear about questions later on, you'll know that it's very hard to quantify those things, and companies are actually basically working with a black box. We don't know what makes the culture. We don't know what makes high performers. There are lots of gut feeling and intuition and hunches about that, but those, as we know and the research has shown repeatedly, those hunches are often very, very wrong. So here is an opportunity to use data and to inform the way we look at the world, we look at success, we define success and high achievement. When we started the company, people told us this is not going to work, this is science fiction. And I've met with many VCs on Sand Hill Road, and I'm sure some of you know those people, and said, no way this is going to work. Well, it turned out that 2.5 years later, companies are approaching us every day and saying, we need that solution, we need that technology. And we actually know that it works very well, so we are very excited. So this is basically, we took a leap of faith and we persisted, and now we have this technology that works very well. If any of you know about this movie, I think that that's basically what they were thinking about. It's been in science fiction, it's been in the movies, but it hasn't been reduced to practice. But that's today is actually working, as I'll show you next. Some of our early success cases, as I mentioned, Shell with innovators, surgeons at NYU Medical Center, and Bain & Company management consultants. What's unique about all those success cases, which were our initial success cases, are all of those are very complex high-knowledge jobs. Those are not repeatable jobs that are reduced to some very simple protocol that a person has to do X, Y, Z. Surgery, consultant, innovation, especially innovation, which is basically how do you come up with new ideas? How can you push and create those new ideas and reduce them to practice? Through all of those cases, we've been extremely successful in showing that Wasabi Waiter, and in the case of Shell, another game, were able to extract the NAC signature, this unique secret sauce of success in that particular company, in that particular role, and then use it to predict and to spot talent out of a blind set of people that we didn't know anything about. So that obviously was very encouraging. And what you can see here is the results at Shell. So on the left part of the screen, you can see the baseline success rate at Shell before using NAC. Basically, the high-performing, high-impact employees in innovation were the blue ones. So basically, 3 out of 10 that was hired was a high impact. 70% was the rate of bad hires, which is pretty bad and pretty costly. When we used NAC, and we didn't know anything about those individuals, no resume, no career experience, no education, we didn't meet those people. All we had was their gameplay data, which we computed, and then used our algorithms to predict, based on the unique secret formula that we create for Shell, who's going to be a high potential innovator. We got all the people 100% accurate for people that we ranked in the top 90% of the funnel. So this is basically a game changer for Shell and a game changer for spotting talent in a much more accurate way. So you both are able to identify people that you would otherwise miss, as well as not hire people that are not going to be a good fit for that role. And doing that based on 2 games that take about 25 minutes, without all the biases and prejudices that normally go into those talent processes. So this is an example of Shell, but we replicated the same results at other organizations with very complex jobs. Moving on to the product. So we have 2 products currently. One product is already in the market. The other product is the NAC app that I told you that is going to come up on the mobile app stores in a few weeks. So NAC for Business is our business enterprise-facing product. And here we're also trying to innovate in the design, in the experience, in making very complex algorithmic computations available instantly on demand to corporate business end users. And we think that this is actually going to start a disruption of human resources within enterprises, because the future of enterprise computing, as we see that, is not going to be about CIO giving a permission and then you go through the whole cycle of purchase and so forth, but rather a very junior manager can use the app and get data and results, get real return on investment immediately in real time. So let me show you basically the manager's experience on the Knack for Business. So American Express, one of our customers, this is just for demo purposes, is creating 3 jobs: a software engineer, sales agent, and a leadership job, and is looking for candidates for those jobs. So we used basically the software, the games, to define the secret sauce of success, the Knack signature, based on high performers at American Express. I'll put a side note here. There are other ways in which we can create for American Express those signatures of success without asking them even to have any employee play any game. But that's as a side note. So they create the jobs, they have employees play, we algorithmically compute in real time what is that secret formula, and then we have that algorithm ready to power their talent process. Then we recommend which game is actually necessary in order to predict success and to identify who is going to be the best person. In this case, say Wasabi Waiter, even though you can see there are 2 other games, Balloon Brigade and Crazy Maze. Crazy Maze is not yet available to the public. It will be available later this summer. So candidates will have to play Wasabi Waiter. Takes 10 minutes. Now let's see what the applicant experience is. So the applicant goes on a landing page that is branded, and it's part of the applicant experience. Engagement, corporate employer branding is very important. Applicant logs in, then the applicant goes on the profile page, can upload a picture, play the game. Wasabi Waiter currently deploys in a browser. Very soon it's going to be deployable going to be available on mobile. As soon as the candidate finishes playing the game, the candidate, and by the way, this is the mobile version of Wasabi Waiter, a mobile version of Crazy Maze, and Balloon Brigade. As soon as the candidate finishes playing the game, the manager can see the data in real time. So here is a grid of all the candidates. So candidates, some of them uploaded pictures, some of them did not. Our algorithms rank all those software engineering candidates by order of potential for success. Who's going to be the most successful? So remember the slide I showed you about Shell? Who's going to has the highest potential for success at that particular job, at that particular company, even at a particular region? Because we've seen that jobs, the same job at a company in Asia or Europe, has a different secret sauce for obvious reasons. We can capture those. So we rank order all the candidates, and if a manager wants to drill down and get more information, the manager can see the knacks of that person, as well as the predictive analytics on the left side of that person. So here, the knack score, the potential, the likelihood of success is 88%. Those are some of the factors that drive that, the algorithm. But on the right side, you see the knack profile of that person. So that basically puts the manager in a very empowered position to identify who are the best candidates, focus on them, not focus on everyone else. So we know we define the shape of a diamond, and we find where are those diamonds in the talent pool. Talent pools, as some of you know, I'm sure, can be very large. In some cases, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people. So if you think about it, using a game to measure those traits, abilities, those knacks, and to predict success based on what makes people successful in your own organization in a particular role, this is really a game changer for those companies. And we can predict not only performance or success on a job, but also leadership potential, innovation potential, retention potential, and we can stack all those signatures on top of each other. So managers can actually see who has the highest potential for success as software engineering, but also a leadership potential, and focus just on those people. Nothing of that has been available for companies, and they have literally been working with no data. And in cases where they have been working with data, the data most often hasn't been of high quality. There is another view of getting some more advanced analytics if a manager cares to look at those. Let me show you. So basically, just to sum up, we believe, and that's our mission also as a company, our social mission, not just our business mission. We believe that everyone has something valuable, but we need to help people figure what it is and how to apply it in which directions in education and at work. And even once you've joined a company, what is your next step? What is your career arc at this company? Can you become a leader? Can you get promoted? Do you have a potential to move to another segment? In most cases, companies are very rigid in terms of how they mobilize people. The reason for this rigidity is they don't have data about what makes successful people successful and who has the potential for success. Here I believe we're gonna start seeing this deconstruction of those silos in company, where a company can hire a person, identify potential leaders from day one before the person has been hired, promote those people, and keep them for a very long time. So I think that we're gonna start seeing something that we're looking at, some behavioral engineering of productivity and performance at companies. How do you compose teams? How do you mobilize people? How do employees inside companies broadcast their talent and are looking for collaborators for a project? So who is the right person to work with the right manager? All those type of decisions, powered from the bottom up, I think will be changed and driven by data. That's kind of part of a vision that we're looking for. The same thing we're looking to do in education. So help schools, universities, and individuals figure out, where is my opportunity? How can I leverage my knacks, my talents, my abilities to grow, to develop, and then to launch a very successful career without going into one major, leaving that major after a semester, and ending up getting my bachelor's after 4.5 or 5 years, rather than on time, and then losing some time in becoming actually productive and honing my skills. So that's part of the vision we have. Please do email me if I can answer any questions, or you'd like to learn more about what we do, or you'd like to help, or you know of other people that may be interested. We're happy to get feedback, comments. We're continuously learning, so I'd welcome anything that you can share with us. And if you'd like to ask any questions, I'm going to be available here, so please just come by. Thanks very much.